Last week, we spoke a little bit, just briefly about Eliezer. We got to the end of the 10 test of Avraham Avinu. The last one being, according to many of the Shittot, the Akedah, according to Rabbeinu Yonai, with Sarai Amenu's passing away. And right after the Akedah, we know that how old was Yitzchak when the Akedah took place? He was 37 years old. And what day would it took place? Chazal teach that it took place on Yom Kippurim. Right? 3 years later, Avraham Avinu tells his servant Eliezer, I want you to go today, right now. Don't wait, today. I want you to go today, and I want you to go and find my son or wife. Specifically today. And obviously we know, Chazal teach that there was Kvitzat HaDerech, that Hashem folded over the land, and what should have taken a few days, Eliezer was able to get there in a few hours, to be everything that should be in the same day. Now, maybe we'll talk about why specifically that day. It's a different topic. But we see a very interesting yesod. The Midrash in Bereshit Rabbah brings down that Avraham tells Eliezer, also speaking in Torah, tells him, I want you to make me a promise. He says, put your hand by my brit, and I want you to make me a promise. What's the promise I want you to make? I want you to promise me that you're going to get a wife for my son from the children of Canaan. I mean, not from the children of Canaan, from the children of my family, and not from the children of Canaan. Now, what Bereshit Rabbah relates is that Eliezer actually thought to himself, we spoke about it a little bit last week. Eliezer said, look, I have a daughter, you have a son, maybe we could do shidduch. And Avraham answers him and he tells him, look, I'm blessed, you're cursed, because Eliezer was the children of Canaan. Canaan was cursed after what he did to Noach. So what ended up happening, their forefather, what he did to Noach, he was cursed. So he says, look, you're cursed, I'm blessed, they can't mix together. But I specifically want you to go and find a wife for the people of my family. And the Farshim get up and they ask a question. Rega. I want to understand, why was Avraham so focused on Eliezer finding a wife for Yitzchak from the people of his family? What's so significant of that? At the end of the day, his nephew, Lavan, was a wicked person, was a sorcerer, was Oved Avazara, he worshipped idols. Not only that, when later on we find out when his nephew comes, when Lavan's nephew Yaakov comes, Yitzchak's son, he tried to do everything he possibly can to destroy him. So what was so important in Abraham's eyes that he told him, I want you to specifically go to my family, to the people of my family, and go over there, and not from anybody else. If you think about it, Elu ve'elu, these people were Oved Avodah Zarah, they worshipped idols. Ve'elu, and they worshipped idols. So what's going on over here? So the Mefarshim explain something beautiful. They say at the end of the day, when a person does an action like that, Avodah Zarah, or he does something wrong, it's a choice. He has a choice to make. Maybe that he was misled, but so on and so forth. But the midot of the person, the character traits of the person, is something that's embedded in him, something that he gets from his parents, something that's passed down from generation to generation. They say, this is saying in English, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Also Chazal teach that if you want to know who the father was, see the children. And also vice versa. You see who the child is, you know who the father is. You go to a Shiva, Chas v'Shalom, when a child is sitting Shiva on his father, Shenolida, you maybe never met the father before. A few times, unfortunately, in Tsarinu, she never know for suffering. I had to go to Shiva call. I get over there, and the son is over there. They ask me, come say a few words. Now, I never met the father. How am I going to say a few words about a person I never met? Huh? I tell them, you want to know how I know who the father is? Because I see who the son is. When you see the son, you see the father. When you see the son, you see the mother. You see the parents through the children, through the son, the daughter. Their character traits is passed down through them. We see Lechora, even Esav, this week's Parashat, Toldot, right? These are the Toldot of Yitzchak. And Yitzchak had two sons, Yaakov and Esav. Yaakov, we know, became Ish Tam Yeshev Ohalim, became Ayush Shemi Chacham, became Yaakov Avinu, became the father of the Jewish nation. And what happened to Esav? Became a Rasha. But the Chor Chazal teach us that Esav had amazing potential in him. And it sounds like the Chor that what? Also Lavan had potential in him. What's the difference? Because the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, Mio Gibor, Kovesh Yitzro, who's a strong person? A person who overcomes his will. You see, Esav was never Zochet to reach his full potential because he never overcame his desires. He had desires to go hunt, to go do so and whatever it was. He didn't overcome those desires. He didn't do what was necessarily the right thing. And therefore, he ended up coming to the place that he became. And so too with Lavan. And we see, Avraham Avinu was mitmaked in this point because he said, look, at the end of the day, for this woman, she's going to be the mother of the whole entire Jewish nation. My son Yitzchak, Hashem promised me from him, ani kazera. Me Yitzchak kazera. From this child, I'm going to give you what's it called? I'm going to give you children. I'm going to give you the nation that I promised you. That I promised you the children are going to be like the numerous like the stars and in the sand, so on and so forth. It's going to come from Yitzchak. So he knew that whoever was going to marry him was going to be the mother of the whole entire Jewish nation. He says, Avraham Avinu, it's so important to me, she has the midot of a Yehudi. Says the Gemara Masechet Yevamot, we spoke about it a little bit last week, that there's 3 simanim for a person who's a Yehudi. 3 signs of a person who's Jewish. She has to have 3 of these attributes. What are they? We spoke about it. Rachaman, Baishan, and Gomer Chasadim. He has to be a person who's merciful. He has to be a person who's bashful, shameful. He has to be a person who's Gomer Chasadim. He has to do kindness to other people. Says Avraham Avinu, it's so important to me that she has these attributes because otherwise, even if Chas v'Shalom she's in a place of Tumah right now, she's in a place in the house, you know that when Eliezer came, what did Chazal teach over there? That the Lavan tried to kill him. What did he try to do? He tried to poison his food, him and his father. And then Chazal teach that they turned the food around and ended up coming to the father, and the father ended up passing away because he tried to poison him. Sometimes in life you try to hurt another person and it only comes back on you. That's why he said don't curse another person, because when you curse, it turns back around. Chas v'Shalom. And we see, you see, she didn't come from the best home. Who was her brother? Even still, Avraham says go. Now Eliezer goes. And Hashem, of course, he made him get there in a few hours. Now Eliezer comes and says, Hashem, look, how am I going to find this woman? Says in Ram Sechet Ta'ani, there were 3 people that asked Hashem, look at Hogan. They asked Hashem not appropriately. Not to go too deep in the topic. Eliezer was one of them. Why? He came to Hashem and said, Hashem, I don't know which type of person to get as a wife for Yitzchak, so give me a sign. What's a sign? That the person I go to see, I'm going to ask them to give me water, and they're going to water. That the girl I'm going to ask to see, I'm going to ask to give me water, she's going to give me water to the camels. I know she's the one. Wait, there's a question over here. What if it was a woman from the daughters of Canaan? What if it was somebody else? Why was Eliezer not Choshesh? You ever think about it? Why did he not think to himself for a moment, wait a minute, what if I get another woman to tell me, I'll give you water to the camels?
Talking about a Kushi to think 2 steps
Yeah,
ahead.
Knaani, what does it make a difference? Wait, why wasn't he Choshesh? And Lechora, it's not because Me'ach was Bitachon. It's also in Inyan Bitachon. But Lechora, if we go deep into the point, really we see Eliezer understood what Avraham Avinu was telling him. Like, the only way she'll be for my family is if she has these midot. What's the midot? Gimel Chasadim. And if not, she won't have these midot. And therefore, who's going to come and tell you I'll water the camels? And what happens? We look into the story. Comes Eliezer and says, I need something to drink. Comes Rivkana, 3 years old. The Midrash relates. Why'd she come out? Because her father was bashing her at home. She left. She sees Eliezer by the watering well. She says, I'm thirsty. She says, look, I'll give you water and I'll give your camels water. Now, if you don't know, the hump on the camel's back, it carries water. Can you imagine how much water they had to bring? Eliezer asked Hashem for a sign. What was the sign he asked him? Give me a sign that the girl that I'm going to ask, that I'm going to tell her, I need water, and she's going to say, I'm going to water your camels, that's the one. So what should have Eliezer did? He came, I need water. If God says, I'll give water to the camels, right away give her the nose ring, give her the bracelets. No. Eliezer waits, lets her water the camels. You have to know, imagine now a 3-year-old girl picking up buckets of shav to go give water to the camel. How much they drank already? It wasn't one camel, multiple camels. And to give to Eliezer. Why did he wait until then? You asked for a sign, Hashem answered you. The one says that Hashem was answering Kehogin, even though Hashem answered him appropriately, even though he asked inappropriately. What do we see? Another case of how you're supposed to ask Hashem, how you're supposed to pray to Hashem. When Yaakov came to Lavan, what did he tell him? Rachel, Bitcha, Aktana. Rachel, your daughter, the youngest. Why did he say all 3 of them? He could have said Rachel, we know who he was talking about. He could have said your daughter, your youngest daughter, we know who he was talking about. Says the Mefarshim over there on the spot, I think it's Rashi that quotes it, if I'm not mistaken. He says Rachel, so that Lavan wouldn't go and find another Rachel from the marketplace and say, you asked for Rachel, Rachel. You said you wanted Rachel, I gave you Rachel. This is not your daughter. You said Rachel, you didn't say my daughter. So he said Rachel, Bitcha. And Lavan says, oh, my daughter, I have 2 daughters. Really, her name is Leah, but really, sisters, she's really could be Leah. Sometimes you confuse them. So he asked for my daughter, I gave you Leah. So he says, Rachel, your daughter, the youngest. No mistakes. I'm telling you exactly what I want. Medugdak. To the point. Yeah? No, that's because the Midrash relates that what? He first said to him, Et bincha. And Abraham said, but I have 2. And then Hashem said, Asher Afta.
Like the same logic.
Similar context. You see, he's like, and why we Chazal teach on this? That's what the Gemara Masechet Ta'anit says. That when you come to pray to Hashem, you have to pray Kehogin. What's the Kehogin? You have to ask Hashem very medugdak. But not to leave room for interpretation, Chas v'Shalom. Even though Kadosh Baruch Hu is always going to, if you're a tzaddik, Hashem is going to make sure to do what's right. But at the end of the day, you have to be meticulous. You have to make sure that when you're praying to Hashem, that you know that you use the right interpretation, not to leave room, chas v'shalom. A person asks for parnasa. Did he say parnasa with bracha? People say, Hashem, give me money. But he doesn't say, I want money that's going to have blessing in it. It's a big difference. You can have money that could be a klala, chas v'shalom. So you have to be mitparek. You have to say, Hashem, I know this is exactly what I want. I want money with blessing. I want a zivug, but I don't just want a zivug. Hashem, give me my zivug. Okay, I'm going to give you, I love le'enag, לא עובר גיהנום פעמיים. No, I want my zivug. Which kind of zivug? I want a shalom bayit. I want a woman that should chayil, so on and so forth. You have to mitparek. You have to say, Hashem, this is what I want, so on and so forth. Yeah? Lifrosh, kama shiyoter. Right? So now we see, comes Eliezer, says, Hashem, look, bring me the person. Hashem says, you know what, even though Eliezer didn't ask appropriately, he should have said a girl who's going to be from the family of Avram's house, and she's going to so on and so forth, but he just said the one who's going to ask, and she's going to tell me. So why did he wait until the end? Why did he let her give water to the camels? Hashem answered him already. He asked the woman in front of him. Said to Sophono that he was waiting until the end to see if she was going to ask for money. It's like when you go to the gas station, the guy comes to clean your window. You know what I'm talking about? The guy used to come back in the days, used to be very common. The guy used to come, clean up, and then you come, no, pay up. Hello, I didn't ask you to clean the car. I never asked you. What do you mean? I thought you do a chesed. Everyone can do a chesed when it comes to the money, yeah? But only very few people have the ability to do a chesed when it's detrimental to them and not ask for money back. Eliezer says, I want to see if she really has the midot that it takes to be the... Well, you understood what the task. You understood what I'm asking. Bring me a woman who has the ability to be the mother of the Jewish nation. That's a woman who's gomel chasadim. A woman who does mercy with other people. That's one of the attributes we have in us. To be a Yehudi, that means you care for another person. Rosh Baruch Hu cares so much about how much we care for one another, how much we treat one another, how much we go out of our way for one another. Ad kei dekach, this same point of also the inyan of the parents, we see, there was one rabbi from Ashkenaz, from the cities of Ashkenaz. He was the rabbi of the city, and one of the wealthiest men in the city, very famous, very renowned, very prestigious Jewish man, comes and tells him, Rabbi, I want, you have a daughter, I have a son, let's make zivug. My son will marry your daughter. Or fuch, I have a daughter, you have a son. And he tells him, okay, no problem. Let's see, come back to me next week, we'll talk about the details. Guy comes back to the rabbi next week, sees the rabbi sitting over there, kind of distressed, head down, looks a little bit like agitated, as if he heard the worst news in the whole entire world. So the guy comes up to him, of course, he sees the rabbi, he says, Rabbi, what happened? Why such a bad mood? He says, don't ask, I heard now news about a boy in the city who was not feeling well. So the man asked him, are you guys related? Is he a family member? He says, no. He says, so no, the rabbi knows him, friend of a friend, family, maybe a friend's son, something like that. The rabbi says, I don't know who the kid has never been in my entire life. So the man tells him, look, I understand, Rabbi, it's nice, it's dandy that Rabbi, Maisa, you don't know the kid. Let's move on, let's get to the details. Why you ruining the mood? You're coming to sign paperwork for marriages now. You're coming with Bedika. You don't know the kid. The Rabbi looks at him and says, you know what? It's not for me. Because if you don't have good midot, also your child doesn't have good midot. If you don't have the ability to see and feel the pain for another person, your children also don't have that same midot inside of them. Ad kei dekach, there was a story one time the Chafetz Chaim. One time a man came to Chafetz Chaim. He told him, Rabbi, he said, what happened? The man came to him and says, Rabbi, his wife, the man's wife, fell deathly ill. The house is on Galgalim. We should never know. You know what it has to have a house with children, and the wife's not feeling well. The house is on wheels. Who's going to take care of the house? The man has to do the cooking and the cleaning and the taking care of the kids and washing them and dropping them and this. The house is on Galgalim. And he comes to the rabbi and says, Rabbi, please, I need the rabbi to pray for Refuah Shlema for Ishti. So the rabbi says, okay, I'll pray Refuah Shlema, and he leaves. Chafetz Chaim, as soon as the man leaves, he starts crying tears. The rabbi comes to the rabbi, sees him from the side, says, Rabbi, why are you crying? He didn't see the interaction. So, Rabbi, why are you crying? Chafetz Chaim tells him, I heard a story about a woman, she's not feeling well. So the guy tells him, similar, oh, you know this woman? You're related, family member, friend of a friend? Chafetz Chaim tells him, no. So Rabbi, I told you, Rabbi, it's nice and that, but I'm bochek, he's crying such an extent. The rabbi tells him, it's not enough that I see the pain of this man that I'm not going to cry on his behalf. It's not enough that I see this man sitting in front of me suffering that I'm not going to cry on his behalf. מה הקדוש ברוך הוא מצפה מאיתנו? What Hashem wants from us? The Farshim, they come and they ask a question. We see Dor HaMabul, the generation of the flood, what happened? Hashem wiped them out completely. Hashem says, Noach, from you and your children, I'll start fresh. Wipes them out completely. The times of Avraham Avinu, also the Torah brings it down, they build the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel. What did Hashem do? Change the Lashonot. Change the Lashonot. One of them, they were Ben Adam lechavero, stealing from each other, doing malicious acts from one another, so on and so forth. Over there, Hashem says, wipe them out from the world. But when they get together to build a tower all the way up to Hashem, coming to attack Hashem says, just change the languages. Don't wipe them out, just change the languages. Why? We see HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem is more makpid on the kavod Ben Adam lechavero than he is on himself. He says, when you hurt me, I have the ability to mevater al atzmi, to be mochel al atzmi. When you hurt another person, that's when I can't take it. You know? When chas v'shalom, we should never know, no one should know Am Yisrael. But a parent, when their kid disrespects them, it's ben. But when they see their kids fighting, how much more so tzoref. When it's me, אני אבא ואני מתמודד, הכל טוב, he's teenager, this, that. But then he sees them fighting with each other, I don't want to talk to him ever again. That's the worst thing for the family. When the family come and they see the old kids sitting around the table, יש אחדות, יש אהבה ביניהם, how does אבא ואמא feel? ולא כל שכן Hashem. It's not even more so that Hashem יתברך, how much he wants from us, the same thing. Hashem says, what do I care about? I care, of course, Torah, Maasim Tovim, go, be a person. But at the end of the day, what does Hashem want from you? You know, Rav Wolbe writes down in his Sefer, he has a Sefer for Chatanim. He brings down a Malchu. Rav Chaim Vital, was a student of the Arizal. He writes down, Api HaKabbalah, he says, there could be a person in the world that all day does Gimlu Chasadim. Bikur Cholim, Achnasat Chochim, he goes, Mesmech Chatan Vekala. He says, Badai, Sheyitzchak Layom Acharon. For sure that at the end of 120, like the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says, Olam Hazeh Domeh Leposdor Olam Haba, this life is like a corridor in regards to the next world, that this person who's Gomel Chasadim, for sure he has a portion of the world to come, a very good portion. He'll be happy at the end of the days. However, he says, but all the midot of the person are measured on how was he mityaches leishto. And he says, this person does chasadim, if he act with his wife, with anger, with frustration, and this and that, as Hashem doesn't give him any of the zchiyot as if he did nothing. As if he didn't do nothing. You want a further proof? Here's the Gemara Masechet Baba Metzia. We go into the Parashat a few weeks ago when Hashem sends a malach to Sarai Amenu, and she tells her, you're going to have a son. And she laughs. And then Hashem says, Ma tzachakt? And she says, I'm going to have a child now, and my master is, my husband is old. And Hashem goes, and what does he say to Avraham? Why did your wife say she's old? I don't know, Hashem, what did she say? That she's old, that he's old. Why did Hashem change Lashon? Says the Gemara, look how big the shalom is, look how great the shalom is, that Afilu Hashem Shina, the emet. Afilu Hashem is willing to tell a little bit of a white lie to save the shalom. Look how much HaKadosh Baruch Hu ma'ashiv the shalom ben Adam le'chavero, ben Adam le'ishto. Hashem says it's more important to me that if a person can be gomer chasadim every single day, but at home he's mean to his wife, it's no shavek lira. It's not worth nothing. We'll take it a step further. Listen to this story I heard the other day. It's a real story. Story of a guy, his name was Mr. Goldstein. This Mr. Goldstein was an elderly man, and he had a family. Wasn't so old, but he was like in his 40s, 50s. One day, he comes down with a high fever, spike fever, to the point where he gets up to 104. 104, it means you have to go to the emergency room. He goes to the emergency room, the doctors admit him, he gets into the room, they see his temperature is rising, 104. He said to himself, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to give him medication. They give him ibuprofen, a high dose of ibuprofen, and the fever comes down. They monitor him for another hour or so, but they see the fever came down. Now what? Okay, maybe we'll discharge him. They begin to prepare the discharge papers, and they come to him to sign the discharge papers. As soon as he's about to sign the discharge papers, boom, the fever spikes back up. Okay, what can we do? Again, another dose of ibuprofen. They wait a few hours, they see, stable. Come back with discharge papers. Okay, sign the discharge paper. And it comes to sign, boom, again, spikes back up. And it repeats itself a few times. Until the rabbi, let's go, yeah? Until the doctor come and say, okay, we have to run more tests. It cannot just be a fever. Something else is going on over here. And as they were waiting for the results of the test, his situation got worse. His organs began to fail. Now they got to the point where the doctor said to the family, look, this disease that he has, it's something that's very rare. We don't see it very often. And he says, there's only one procedure that we have that could help, but it's only for 50% chance of success. He said a 50% chance of success. Otherwise, it's not going to be successful. He said, okay, meaning we have to leave him the way he is. So what do you want to do? So the family said, okay, we have to speak to the rabbi. They called the rabbi. The rabbi, look, our father's in a situation now. The organs begin to fail. He's already in a very bad situation. The doctors are telling us, chas v'shalom, it could be the end for him. But they have a procedure that's 50% success rate. What should we do? The rabbi says, look, if you leave him the way he is, chas v'shalom, it's vaday mavit. And we have over here 50% chance of saving him. Take the chance. So do the procedure. Not only things don't get better, they get worse. The guy falls into induced coma, and he ends up getting to a point where the doctors say he was pronounced clinically dead. Clinically dead. The doctor comes in and says, look, I'm sorry guys, prepare your last words. Prepare the last thing you have to tell him. So the family sitting over there, of course, they're crying next to the father's bedside, and the wife next to her husband, crying tears, and they're saying the final words to him. All of a sudden, they look, Potech da'inayim, opens his eyes. Everyone's like thrown back, what's happening over here? And they see that his vitals begin to come normal again. A few hours later, he begins to speak a little bit. A few hours later, he's interacting. A few hours later, he begins to eat. And slowly, in the span of a week, he gets back to himself 100%. After a week, they sign a discharge paper. The son comes, Binyamin comes to pick up his father. And he's waiting for his father to get everything ready. And he comes to the doctor, the head doctor who's in charge of his father's thing. He tells him, look, I want to thank you. Just thank you for what? He says, thank you for saving my father's life. The doctor tells him, look, you don't have to thank me, and you don't have to thank any doctor in this hospital because nobody saved your father's life. Nobody here could have saved your father's life. What you saw over there was nothing to do, it was 100% a miracle. It wasn't us who saved your father's life. It was something else, something above. Not a secular doctor, nothing to do with anything. Something above. So Binyamin looks at the doctor, he tells him, it's very funny you say that. He says, why? He says, right before I came in here, I spoke to my father. I said, Abba, what happened? What did you see in those moments? He tells him, my son, I tell you the truth, I saw my neshama go up to the upper world. I got up to Shamayim, I was sitting down in front of the heavenly court, and I was begging them, please let me come down. I'll be a better person. I'll do more chasadim, more mitzvot, please, please. And the Beit Din told me, and he said, look, once the neshama already comes up, it's very difficult for us to bring it down. And as he's pleading with them, all of a sudden he hears a voice behind him. He turns around, he recognizes the voice. Who is this voice? The guy who used to sit behind him in the Knesset, praying, Hashem, please, give refuah shlema to Mr. Goldstein. 30 years in his community, he's a pillar of the community. He showed every single person in the shul what it is to be, how to act properly in the shul. Never one time I heard him speak in shul. Never once. He showed every single one what it is to be a mensch in shul, to be a tzaddik in shul. Hashem, please give refuah shlema, prayers. The Beit Din Shlema, they say, look, kol tov yafeh, but once the neshama comes up here, it's very, very difficult for us to bring it down. All of a sudden, he hears to the left of him another voice, praying, Mizeh, Arav Shalom, the rabbi of the community. He says, Hashem Yitbarach, please give Mr. Goldstein refuah shlema. 30 years I'm giving shurim in his community. He never missed one. He always the first person. Always can count on him. He always is listening attentively. Ben Adam Za'av, Hashem tatzil oto. The Beit Din Shalmana say, look, kol tov yafeh, but once the neshama comes up here, it's very difficult to bring him down. The rabbi continues. He says, 30 years, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makir את הבן אדם הזה, I know him. לעולם, for life, לא שמעתי, I never heard him say one bad word, לשון הרע, על שום בן אדם בעולם. Never heard him speak badly about any other Jew. At that moment, the Beit Din Shalmana said, if that's the case, go back down to this world. The kid tells the doctor the story. The doctor says he was thrown back. He went and he was mesaper lekol hospital the story. We learn from this story, it's a real story. What do we learn from this story? First things first, HaKadosh Baruch Hu kama mashiv, that we shouldn't speak bad about one another. The lashon hara, you don't know how far it goes. I'll give you a raya from the Torah. This week's parasha, it starts, Ele Toldot, right? These are the Toldot of Yitzchak, right? Ben Avraham, ve'Avraham olid et Yitzchak. The parasha says that these are the generations of Yitzchak, the child of Avraham, and Avraham begat he was the father of Yitzchak. What's the double language over here? Yitzchak, the son of Avraham, and Avraham was the father of Yitzchak. Why do we need the double language? So obviously, Rashi comes on the spot and he says, he brings quotes in Midrash, Tanchuma. It says that the cynics of the generation, the Litzanim, the jokers of the generation, they would say that Avraham was not the father of Yitzchak. Why? What happened? They were together, Gil Tishim, Sarai Imenu, she could never have children. She gets taken by Avimelech, the king of Gerar. She leaves, and we know, of course, we spoke about in previous shiurim, that Hashem healed her because Avraham prayed for Avimelech, the healing of him, and Hashem said, you pray for him, I pray for you. The Gemara says, Baba Kama, everyone who prays for his friend, and he needs the same thing, Hashem gives it to him first. Avraham prayed for Avimelech, even though he stole his wife, Hashem Merusha, because Hashem gave him stomach pain, that every woman in town lost the ability to give birth. Hashem prayed that Hashem would give them back the health. Hashem says, not only am I going to heal them, I'm going to heal your wife first. First he healed Sarah's stomach, that she was able to have children, and then he healed them. After he left, Sarah was able to have children. Everyone says, look, Avraham was trying for many years, he couldn't have children with her. For multiple years, he couldn't have children. All of a sudden, she gets kidnapped by Avimelech. Lechora, something's fishy here. Maybe Avimelech is the father. Yeah? Take it a step further. When Yitzchak was 2 years old, Rashi tells us when Yitzchak was 2 years old, Torah says that Avraham made a mishteh, made a big festival. Dola, a big festival, a big celebration to give a thank you to Hashem for Yitzchak's born. When he was 2 years old, Rashi says when he was around 22 months. Avraham threw a celebration to give a thanks to Hashem, and the Mefarshim explained who was there. So the Mefarshim explained that one of the first people that was there was Avimelech. Avimelech himself came to this party. So everybody's asking, what is this guy doing over here? Huh? Ishmael, at this point, how old was he? How old was he when he got the Brit Milah? 13. How old was Avraham when he got the Brit Milah? 99. How old was he when Yitzchak was born? 100. Therefore, 1 year later, how old is Yitzchak at this point? Ishmael, 14. Plus 2 years until the Mesibah, 16 years old. Ishmael was 16 years old. He saw the opportunity to mutzi Laz on Yitzchak. Laz on Yitzchak. So he went around and he says, you want to know why Avimelech is over here? I don't want to say I don't want to say it, אבל המבין יבין. Whoever understands. Huh? How old is Yitzchak? 2 years old. When does this Parashat take place? How old was Yitzchak when his sons were born? 60 years old. And 60 years later, Torah says that Avraham, meaning that there were still cynics, 58 years later, they were still talking about the same thing. Hashem says, I had to say that Avraham was the father of Yitzchak. 58 years for one thing that Ishmael said. Now obviously Ishmael had intentions. What did Ishmael want? He wanted to take the yichus. He wanted to say, look, he's not a real son of Avraham. I'm going to take everything for myself. Truth of the matter is, if you think about it, it's very funny. Who wasn't able to have children? Avraham or Sarah? Avraham already had Ishmael. No, Avraham already had kids. Who wasn't able to? Sarah. So the whole chibur they made over here doesn't make any sense anyways. But it just goes to show you, when it comes to the people of the world, they don't think. They go, what sounds nice to them? No, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense to nobody. Go do a little research. Doesn't make sense at all. And you see, Timtum. But Ishmael took an opportunity. He spoke Lashon Hara. 58 years. 58 years. People were still talking about it. 58 years. Man milah. A person will understand how far Lashon Hara goes. Chas v'sholom zorek milah achad ben adam. One bad word. Shober et ha'olam shel ben adam. I know we heard stories of a kid in high school, in elementary school, that one of his friends in school was jealous of him. So he went and he told his friends a fake story. Even worse. He told a fake story about this kid, David. Yeah? And it became a Fusam. Later on, Nirgau Dvarim passed about 15 years, 17 years. Everyone already, the Ma'aseh they would have forgot. David now is already at the age he wants to go on Shidduchim. He finds a good girl. They send the resumes. She agrees. He agrees. Shalchan tells them, go meet in this and this place, in Yerushalayim, in this place, this cafe over there. Go sit down, have a cup of coffee and meet. They go on one date, הכל מצוין. הוא אומר, דוד כמה סומות אמא, מצאתי את הזיווג שלי. I found the one, she's it. And she went home that night, wow, what a great guy. וכולו וכולו. They go on a second date, third date, fourth date, fifth date, sixth date, seventh date. But the seventh date already is at the point now we're about to get married. נכון? They're about to get everything set up, start planning the engagement. All of a sudden, the family of the Kala get a phone call. Hello, this is Miss So-and-so? Yes. I heard your daughter is about to be engaged, David. She said, yes, of course, what a great boy, we're so excited. Look, I don't know what to tell you. I heard when he was a child, he did kach v'kach. The same story that the kid was misaper him, this fake story. She heard from one of her sister's friends story that was not even true. The whole shidduch broke off. The whole shidduch broke off. 17 years later, 18 years later, the koch of milachan. You can never take it back. And it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes and it encompasses the whole entire world. It's one of the worst things you can possibly do because you can't control how far it goes. You can't control how much it affects a person. 58 years, Ishmael, 58 years. Until Yitzchak was 60 years old. After Pisha the Midrash that Hashem did a miracle. I think it's even a Gemara. Hashem did a miracle that Yitzchak was a twin of Abraham Avinu. That Hashem made it that right away, he looked exactly like him. People didn't believe that Sarah was the mother of Yitzchak. She ended up being maniket kol hayeladim b'shchuna. They came to the house for the birthday celebration. Everyone brought their kids. They forgot to bring milk. Comes Sarah Imenu, says, "Bo, kulam, honey, yesh li enough. A miracle happened." And they said they were Choshesh and Abraham. Hashem did a miracle. Yitzchak, shte tipot mayim Abraham. Looked exactly like him. Even still, 58 years. Motzilas. 58 years. The koch hamilachan. You motzil ben adam acher. Why? No, it's a nice car, it's this, it's that. So we feel a little something. I heard a story today. A guy, which we never know. His son became very sick. Took his son to the hospital. Then, as he's in the hospital, his daughter also gets sick. He said, "Ma olech bo? Mashu לא normali. Something not normal here." He went to the rabbi, said, "Rabbi, what's going on?" The rabbi היה a little bit מקובל כזה. He looked at him, he told him, "Look, how do Shabbat? Shabbat?" He said, "Rabbi, Shabbat, you know how we do. Only, כס azul, סטייקים, עניינים." הרב יודע, כל המתענג לשבת. מה הוא אומר גימל במסכת שבת? נותן לנו נחלה בלי מצרים. So many good things a person gets, מתענג את השבת. כבוד הרב, אבל עדיין אנחנו מתענגים את השבת. You know, we do good. אז איך הדיבורים שמה? למה אתם מדברים? Rabbi, I try to give a little, חידוש, what I hear from him, כמו, מה שר הלילה? How the rest of the night? How's the conversations? הרב, לא נעים. מה קרה? What's the rest of the conversations? Look, Rabbi, I'm not so comfortable, Rabbi, whatever, regular stuff. No, תגיד לי, I want to know, I'm interested, what happened? I said, look, Rabbi, I'm ashamed to say it, but, we sit down, my wife tells me about this one at work, then this one over here. כל השבת לשון הרע. כל השבת לשון הרע. הרב אומר לו, ואתה לא מתפלא? What, you think that for no reason? קח על עצמך, take it upon yourself, no more. ותראה, יהיה איפה השלם הילדים. So the rabbi says that's what we're going to do. Took it upon himself, no more on Shabbat, we're going to talk לשון הרע. Kids got it miraculously. כמו שלא הבא ולא יהיה. הקדוש ברוך הוא מחשבן את הכל. עכשיו, everything he knows. Everything he knows. Of course, we look, something happens to us, look into our ways. Hashem says, I want you to care about one another. Caring about one another, not talking Lashon Hara on one another. It's one thing we learn from the Sipur. Another thing we learn from the Sipur, that you think that a tefillah of yours for another person goes l'shavah, it doesn't have any. Look, we have a baraya. Sipur that we heard, that in Shamayim, the Ben Adam עצמו שומע את התפילה. התפילות עולים לו, and they come out for him. We pray for another person, we go out away for another person. Oh. Not only that, like we said earlier, what does the Gemara Masechet say? When you pray for another person and you need it, Akash Baruch Hu says, then I'll pray for you. I'll give it to you even before him. Lama? Says the Ran Mefresh on this Gemara, one of his darshot that he gave, he said, it's like a mashal, to a hole that's watering a ginah, watering the grass. Who gets the water first? The hose or the grass? It says, you, when you come to pray for your friend, you're asking to give him water, but you also need water. You're going to get it first before you're going to get it. When you think about another person, that's okay. When you go and pray for another person, when you do chasadim for another person, Hashem says, when you do chasadim for them, I'm going to do chasadim with you. I heard a story. Listen to this story. Mamash. A story happened at Israel. Avrech, simple guy, learning guy, says, you know what, I'm going to take my kids. He had 7 kids. We're going to go on a day trip. So he goes, he packs them into the minivan. He tells his wife, make us toast with cream cheese. You know, for children of Avrech, toast with cream cheese, meshubach. Toast with cream cheese. Yeah, what can they afford? They have, simple bread, a little bit of cream cheese. They go, the kids are happy. Where are we going? On the way, as they're traveling to where they need to go, 2 of the kids look at Abba and say, Abba, we need to go to the bathroom. So Abba says, look, Bnei Torah, we're children. It's not appropriate we're going to go on the street. We got to find someone nearby. They look nearby, no kosher restaurants. The Abba says, look, Maritain, I'm going to go in there, religious guy. I'm going to walk into a kosher restaurant. What are they going to say? They're going to say, oh, he looked in there. So he put into the Waze, kosher restaurant. He finds a restaurant 20 minutes away. He drives. You can hold 20 minutes? Yeah, go. Drive for 20 minutes. He goes to the kosher restaurant. And he's hoping the guy let him in. He gets to the restaurant. He walks in. He speaks to the woman sitting in the front. What do they call it? The maitre d'? What do they call people who sit? The maitre d'. She's sitting over there. And he tells her, look, I hate to ask. We're really in a rush. I'm so sorry. My 2 kids need to use the bathroom. Is it okay with you? She tells him, look, the manager over here, Mamash, he really has a pet peeve for people using the bathrooms. They're not customers. But between me and you, just don't say anything. Go. And the guy, Haredi, comes, walks into the restaurant. And he goes to the bathroom, him and his 2 sons. He walks out. Who's waiting for him by the door? The manager. Manager sitting over there by the door. Look at you, you Haredim. Ma'goa nefesh. Look at you guys, disgusting, repulsive. You guys come to the restaurant. You just everything. You mooch off the world. You come over here, use my bathroom. You're not gonna come and eat. The guy looks at him and says, "Mechila kvodo. I'm so sorry that you think this way. I came here to eat. Please prepare me a table. Me with my 7 children." I says, "Oh," the manager says, "I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Mechila. Please, tells the maitre d', please prepare my table over here." The guy goes to the car. He tells his other 5 kids, "Kulam bo, hechim masiva. Alai, וכמה הוא eat." He said, אברך, מסכן, בקושי סוגר את החודש. אבל, לשמור. He didn't want to cause any, God forbid, he's going to cause trouble to the maitre d', he's going to say, so he said, עדיף, I'll take it upon myself. Sits down, אומר לילדים, אם אנחנו כבר פה, תזמינו. Order. And they ate. And I said, all kids, for them, it's to go to a restaurant is כבר, is never heard of it. Once in who knows how many years. Abba, תודה רבה, thank you. They sit down, they eat. מזמינים, אוכלים. The guy, the manager comes out, he feels so bad. He says, look, he comes out with a cake. And the Abba says, look, I just came to, I ordered this, I didn't order the cake. I don't have the money to pay for this cake now. Right? I said, no, alai, mechila, the situation with the bathroom, I feel no noach, alai. In the dessert on me, in the house. Oh, to the kids, they come, they eat. At the end, the guy starts walking down with the Kabbalah, with the thing. Now already this avrech, he's like, no, my 7 kids now, me to eat, it's expensive, what I could barely. אבל מה אני אעשה? השם איתנו. Bill comes to the table, he opens it up. It says, paid in full. Paid in full. מחילה, I didn't pay. He tells him, I know you didn't pay. He says, after what happened, the maitre d' came to the back to me crying. She told me that she's the one who told you to go. And you didn't want to save her. You didn't want to embarrass her. So he said, I'm going to bring my kids and I'm going to eat. And you're going to give whatever you have. He says, Ben Adam, when it comes to eat, a human being, when he comes to eat, he has to pay. A malach, an angel, לא צריך לשלם. He says, this time for free, and next time you come, also 50% off alai. You think when you go out away from another person, Hashem says, I don't see it. Hashem עובד עם הבן אדם מידה כנגד מידה. Measure for measure, he works with you. כל מה שתעשה, הקדוש ברוך הוא איתך. He's with you. And what does he want to see? He wants to see the מוסר נפש אנשים אחרים. And with this we'll finish. One last story. Maybe 2 last stories. One last story. It was a story. One time, one of the Hasidim was walking, Admorim, was walking with his Talmidim in a city. She's Vaskav in Europe. He was walking around, and as they're walking, פתאום, the rabbi stops. סיפור מפורסם. He says, the התלמידים also. מה קרה? מה? Look at it, hoping to smell barbecue, briskets, obsession, מה יש? What are we missing? אני מעריך פה גן עדן. I smell something גן עדן פה. They said, what? They don't smell. מה קרה? The guy starts cleaning his nose. I don't smell. The guy says, בוא איתי. They start walking around. He goes. House to house, they're sniffing doors until he finds a place. Finally, they find a place. He comes. דפק לבן אדם בדלת. The guy opens. כבוד הרב, מחילה, what are you doing over here, Rabbi? How can I help the Rabbi? Please, come in, Rabbi, please come in. The Rabbi comes into the house, sniffing around the house. The Rabbi comes and sniffing, you don't ask questions, כן? מה הרב רוצה? עוגיות, קוקיס, קופי, מה הרב רוצה? מה שהרב רוצה. הרב אומר לו, מה יש בחדר הזה? מחילה מהרב. לא, כל הבית פנוי, הכל פתוח, everything is open, חוץ מהחדר הזה. אבא אמר לו, אני מקפיד, רוצה לדעת מה החדר הזה. I need to know, I'm decreeing on you, you have to tell me what's in this room. The president, please, Rabbi, not this room, please. The rabbi says, this room. It's okay, what can I do? The rabbi says, I have to do it. They open the door, the rabbi walks in, goes around, sees a black garbage bag in the corner. He opens the garbage bag. Oh, I found it. Takes out the beged of the Pope. An outfit of the Pope because of the hat and the whole thing. Says, this is the Reach of Gan Eden. The Talmidim look at him and says, Rabbi, I don't know if the Rabbi knows, maybe he doesn't. It's the beged of a Pope. זה לא, זה של הנצרים, רבי, לא. הוא אומר לו, תגיד לי, מה הסיפור? He told him, what's the story with this? He tells them, look, Rabbi, I don't know, what's the story? He says, look, Rabbi, his name was, let's say, Moshe. I go around, I pick up donations here, there, מה שאני יכול לעשות. And every time I go and collect and I give to people who need it, people who are, almanot and widows and so on and so forth, I give whatever I can. One night I went out, I collected. And after I finished giving all the money, a woman comes knocking on my door. I answer the door, who is it? An older woman. She tells me, unfortunately, my husband passed away, I'm a widow. I have 7 children, I have no food on the table. I need something, please. I heard you that you help people, please, I need something. He tells, if you would have came to me an hour ago, I would have to give you. I don't have anything, I would give everything out. He tells him, Mamash, it's a situation, if Chas v'Shalom I don't get what to eat, it could be that stand for me and my children. Mamash, a few days when I'm not to eat, I need it. He says, Moshe, okay, I'm going to do what I can. It's very difficult. Once you go ask for money, the first time they don't want to give you, the second time they for sure don't want to give you. But let me see what I can do. He goes out. He sees a group of gangsters hanging out over there. He tells them, look, guys, I never come to you guys. But there's a woman over here, 7 children. She needs money. I know you guys have. Maybe if you don't mind, give me a few dollars. Let me take care of her. The gangsters look at him and say, okay, we'll give it to you, no problem. On one condition. So we just stole this outfit of the Pope. Put it on, walk around the whole city, all the way to your house. While we're behind you with the drums and the music, doing a whole band around you, waking up the whole neighborhood. Only then, when we get to your house, we'll give you the money. Moshe says to himself, people know me in the community over here. I'm the littlest man in the community. I go around and ask for donations. Want me to go around in the Pope outfit now? Okay, but for her, what can I do? Otherwise, I'm going to let her go starving. And he says it. Puts on the outfit. And the whole way home, he's walking around, and these guys are behind. Oh, it's Joaquin. People are walking outside. They say, Moshe, is that you? And they start cursing him out. Mazeh, Aita Pikoresh, you became a heretic. This, that. Started going crazy on him until he gets to the house. He gets to the house. He tells him, okay, I did my part. I'll do yours. He gives him the money. He goes into his room. He quickly takes off this outfit, throws it into a garbage bag in the corner. They don't want to see it ever again. He hides it. And he runs to the room and says, Ines, go feed the children. The Rebbe says, Dafka beged is Reach shel Gan Eden. This beged over here is Reach shel Gan Eden. When you go and help another person, you must sell nefesh and you don't get anything back. Hashem says, this is Gan Eden. This is what I want to see from you. This is what I want to see from you. How much you care for another person. When you go out of your way and it's not for your benefit. Eliezer says, let me see if you can ask for payment. If God says, even if it bothers me, it takes off my day, my whole day, I'll take to give the water, chinam, alai. What do you mean? An opportunity to do chesed with another person, I'm not going to take it. To feed another person, I'm not going to feel it. To help another Jew, I'm not going to do it. This is what Hashem wants from us. And we'll finish with this. Mamash, this is the last story. Stam, another side that we have also. The Torah says that a person has to be Dan kol ben adam havedan da'adam lekaf zchut. You have to be judge every person favorably. There's a story. One time, a simple avrech from Israel wanted to get married, and it's very common when avrech wants to get married. Who's the one who buys the ring? He doesn't have money, so the family usually buys the ring. So they go. Happen to be that his grandma had a little bit of money. He's like, I'll go buy the ring. I'm talking 30 years ago. She goes $5,000 cash. She goes to the jewelry store she always buys from. She buys her a nice ring, $5,000. Talking about 30 years ago, $5,000 30 years ago. Can buy a nice ring, 1.5, 2 carats, משהו כזה, יפה, no? They give it to the woman, and now it's a little bit loose. She tells them it's a little bit loose. So Stavta tells them, kvui tova, you don't appreciate what you have. This is what I give you the ring, tell me if it's a little bit loose. Be thankful for what you have. She says, okay, thank you so much, I appreciate it, thank you so much. And she goes. Right before the wedding, she goes shopping with a friend that day to go, look, this, that, wedding gowns, She comes back home with all the shopping, and she realizes, Entabat, ring is gone. She comes to her husband, her soon-to-be husband, says, what's going to be? Okay, let's see. Go to the family, Yanim. Okay. She goes to the grandmother and says, Ima, look, and they start going off on her. What do you have no responsibility? We get you a gift, this how you appreciate it. And they started showing her much, such a, you can't imagine how they were coming down on her. And a month later, the man says, look, I'm still going to marry her, man. This is my wife. A month later, they get married. 3 months later, happened to be right before Yom Kippurim. Right before Yom Kippurim, the guy tells you, after you get married, you gain a few pounds. I want to try my wedding suit. I want to see how it fits me. So he goes, he tries on his wedding jacket. He says, okay, I want to see if it fits. Oh, Baruch Hashem, it still fits. All of a sudden, he goes, starts patting around. What is this in my pocket? Goes into his pocket, takes out a tabat. He says, oi. This whole time I had it with me. It could be that day when you went. I was wearing I didn't realize. I found it. She takes the ring. She's so upset with her husband. 3 months I was over with your family. They treated me like filth, like garbage. How they talked to me. I'll never look at them the same. All because you were not responsible and they had to blame it on me. 15 years she held the grudge against her husband. 15 years. Everything her husband tried to do. She always had a little, they always remember. You get into a fight with her. 10 years ago, we were in the supermarket, aisle 3, right by the checks mix, and you yelled at me. How you remember every detail? 15 years, she remembers every single little detail. She comes to me and tells me, 15 years. She goes, after 15 years, unfortunately, the grandmother passes away. It's okay, guys, time came. Time for me to get a new ring. So she tells her husband, where did your grandma usually go shopping? I'll go to the same place. I'll change the ring. I'll get something new or bigger or nicer, whatever. It's okay, go. It's this street over here. She goes. She gets to the jeweler, and she gives him the ring. He says, she's taking the loop. Your fair, very nice. 3 carats, beautiful. She says, how much you want to give me? He goes, I'll give you 6,000 for it. She goes, look, my husband's grandmother bought it over here a few years, 15, 16 years ago for 5,000. You would think it's a little more than that. The guy says, who's your husband's grandmother? She says the name. Oh yeah, right. She used to come all the time. She would only shop here. Nachon. He says, but wait a minute. Just looking at it, he says, I know my rings. I know my work. This is not mine. This is not my ring. I didn't make this ring. She goes, okay, what does it make a difference? How much you want to offer me? 6,000. She goes, okay, you know what? I'm going to go home. I'm going to get the certificate. I'm going to get the receipt, GIA certified. Okay? And I'll go to the place. I'll shop it around. I'll get a better deal. She goes home. Her husband tells her, I think the receipt is over here and here. She goes, she gets the receipt. She gets the GIA certification. And she's looking at the receipt. And she sees, Mama, she was purchased $5,000. When? 3 months after their wedding. She starts crying. She calls her husband, where are you? He said, my work, where can I be? She's crying. Everything's okay. Everything's okay, come home now. He hears his wife crying. He says, okay, I have to come home. He comes home. She goes, how could you? How did you? 15 years, you covered it up like a malach, like an angel. 15 years, I'm holding a grudge against you and I should have been kissing your feet. 15 years. He goes, what are you talking about? What did I do? What did I do? I took out the garbage. I did everything. But I don't know what I did. What did I do? She goes, you forgot one thing. You covered it up beautifully, but you forgot the date. 3 months after our wedding. Exactly when you gave me the ring. I know exactly what you did. You went, you bought me another ring, you saved up for those 3 months, just to save me the shame from your family. You said you'd rather take the abuse yourself than for it to be on me. And for 15 years I held a grudge against you. You told that I would do it again and again. Huh? Of course. מה חשבת? מה חשבת? What is the chashivut you have to have for other people? Even when it seems like it's detrimental to us, to go out of your way for another person, to do for them, to save them. מה אכפת לך לעצמך? Put yourself to the side. Put other people first. That's what Hashem wants from us. That's what Hashem expects from us. That's what Avraham was telling Eliezer. Go find the woman who has these midot, because this can never be replaced. Something that's passed down from generation to generation. And guess what? Yehudi says the Gemara Masechet Yevamot, you have it in you. Now what you got to do is take it out. And that merit for us going and being involved and loving every single one of us, not speaking Lashon Hara about one another, speaking only good about one another, helping to uplift one another, will bring Mashiach. Amen. Chazak u'baruch.